All right, coaches, welcome back to the channel, Football HQ with Coach K. If you're new, I'd appreciate a subscribe if you wouldn't mind. Give the video a like as well. Go back through the previous posts I've made. It's been a while for me. I've been headlong into spring football and summer activities, and we're getting after it big time and excited to get back to a normal football season. We had a football season last year, but this year, hopefully back to normal as much as possible. So today I want to talk to you about a change that I've made and something that you could do very easily as well, and that is adding a tight end to your air raid attack, to your 10 personnel. It's really some very simple personnel adjustments can make that happen very easily with a very minimal learning curve. That's what I've been experiencing this off season and what I'll be looking at in the fall. And we've already had some great success with it in team camp using the tight end. So let's go to that now. Adding a tight end to your offense. Okay, as we get into it, you might even watch this and think, man, that is so simple. Of course I knew that. Maybe you did. But for me, I had to think about it as I found a young man in our program, actually two that really fit the mold of a tight end. And I've always had plenty of receivers, and we've got them a dime a dozen at my school. Don't have a lot of big kids, but we have plenty of 5'10" to 6 foot tall kids that can run around and play basketball and play soccer and play receiver, but we've not had a lot of big kids that can play tight end. But this year I've got that personnel. I've got two guys really. So we decided to add that to our offense, and we used to tight end in the past. It's been a few years, but I wanted to think of a way to make it a seamless transition. So this is what I've come up with, and maybe it's not groundbreaking at all. I don't know. Also want to add, in previous videos, I've shown Go Army Edge as a way to draw up plays. Of course, the Huddle app is great. This is another one. I see a lot of people on social media ask, how can I make a playbook? This is PowerPoint. All right, this is as easy as it gets. Once you get a template, it's pretty easy. So I've already got my defense and my offense. I just inserted inserted letters here. I drew some circles and made them the right shape for the offensive line, and I spaced them out. I don't have yard lines, but you can put the approximate distances you need if you need to make a playbook. So this is, in fact, here's how a play looks right here. So this is our seam read on a 4-vert play. And so you see, you insert shapes, you insert arrows, and it works pretty good. So but let's get back to adding a tight end. So this is what we call 22. It's a basic 2x2 set, very generic. Every air raid team, every spread team has this. Now the letters may be different. A lot of you may very well use the letter A right here. I don't care what letter you use. It doesn't really matter to me. We use the H. So the H is the person that is going to come off the field in our offense when we add a tight end, when we switch personnel, when we go to 11 personnel. If you have somebody that can be a true hybrid H and go back and forth, that's great. We don't have that guy. So when we do that, so if we go with a tight end personnel, we just move the H position to the tight end spot. And then of course our X knows then he's now off the ball. So when we're in 10 personnel, we just call it 22. Okay, X, H, Y, Z is our alignment. And when the tight end comes in, we just say 22T. And so we signal in 2 2s with a T instead of 2 2s by itself, or 2 2s like this, or however I'm feeling like doing it that day, but it's all the same, and you add a T. And then if I want to flip them over, we just give them a switch, and then that puts the tight end on the other side. So let's just give an example of a play, and let's see if I can annotate it. Okay, so for example, let's use our first example of adding the H and the tight end. So here we are in 10 personnel, and I've got Y cross drawn up, and let me add, we have our H run a different type of out depending on the game and depending on the opponent and all that kind of stuff. We'll just have them run a basic, here we go, just a speed out of some kind right here. All right, then we've got the running back. This is one way to run Y cross. All right, now you take your H out and you put your tight end in, and nobody's job is going to change Now I am learning how to use I'm recording this through a Google Meet. By the way, that's how I do this. So I'm learning how to use these, but let's get after it real quick. Draw. Okay, then the H just takes that route, and it's the same play for everybody, but you have a tight end in the ball game. No big deal. Okay, and then of course you all will get in trips. We just call it trips right, and it's important in our offense. Again, the H is the inside receiver. The man that was here as the inside receiver in doubles is still the inside receiver in trips, and that keeps it consistent for the tight end taking his route. That's very important if you're going, at least for the way we do it, to keep it consistent, to have that tight end be the inside receiver and be the same guy. So you take your receiver out, and you be sure your Y, he communicates with your Y and tells him he's on the line, your Y is off, and now trips right becomes tray right, and you can run plays out of that. So here's an example of something you might do. Let's go back to trips. A very common trips concept, one that we like and have used for a while, is what's called the go concept. So you might run something like this, okay? That's the go concept out of trips, and backside tag whatever you want. Maybe get a play fake if you like, but that's go. Okay, you can do it out of doubles as well with a speed out, but we're doing it out of trips. Okay, here now you've brought in your tight end, you've gone to tray, and you have the same route for the same situation. Maybe add a little line there just for that Y to go a little further. And you're still running go. You still have nobody else has to learn anything new other than perhaps to bump their split down a little bit from the Y and the Z and be off the ball. Quarterback's progressions are the exact same. Nothing really to do any different. So it's just important that your tight end replaces your inside receiver out of doubles and trips. And then, of course, you can get into, you can add a sniffer and go to a 12 personnel look if you want, whatever you want there. Now, let's talk about the running game for a second. That can be a little bit different. Okay, with the running game, it's a little bit different. I would not call it more complicated, but I would say that I've learned that I have 10 personnel runs and I have 11 personnel runs. And my offensive line doesn't know the difference. We don't talk about that with them at all. They need to know if there is or is not a tight end in the game, but really, for the most part, there's separate running plays with and without the tight end. So, for example, without a tight end, we'll just run regular inside zone. You can read the defensive end, run inside zone, however you want to run it in 10 personnel. We also, however, like to run duo. All right, and you really can't run that without an extra blocker. And so we run duo with a tight end in the game. So they know where their double teams come and they know where their combos and backside blocks come in duo. We like to run just traditional outside zone in 10 personnel, but we like to run buck sweep in 11 personnel. We like to run ISO in 11 personnel if we can. Sometimes that can get a little bit tricky, but for the most part, we do it. And then I'm trying to think of what else. Really, 10 personnel. And the other is power. We can run power in both. The difference being our play side tackle leaves the play side end, and now with 11 personnel, your tight end can pick up that block. So power can be a straight handoff in 11 personnel, whereas it needs to be a power read, bash, whatever you want it to be, toss. It needs to be some sort of read in 10 personnel. So, but you can set, that gives you the ability to run inside zone, outside zone, and power in 10 personnel. 11 personnel, you can still run the inside zone if you want, but you can run duo, buck sweep, and power. And you've got a pretty good running game with your tight end. So, and then we can still run all of our screens. The tight end just picks up the blocking scheme of the inside receiver he replaced. So it's really been a great addition for us, at least so far in the spring, through spring football and some team camps. We've had some success. I'll probably update as we go through the football season, but we're excited. If you have a way you incorporate the tight end that's even more simple, or that you want to share, put it below. Subscribe if you haven't. I'm glad you came by. We'll see you soon.